So I want to shift just a little bit. One of the things that has been a part of, theater magic for a long time is the use of light, and light's been used for hundreds of years in theater to cast a mood and help the audience relate and be immersed into the story. How do you teach light? Is it different in AR and VR? Do you incorporate a lot of the same techniques from the traditional theater? Maybe define that, because I think that's part of the sense of sight and how we relate to what we're seeing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Light at the end of the day is a fundamental ingredient to a sighted experience.
Yeah.
And I think your hunch that there's some similarities between how light is used in a theatrical content and how it's used in a virtual and augmented context is right on. And for me as an instructor, I'm often drawing those parallels between the ways that we'll use theatrical lighting, especially in an immersive performance situation, for how we might want to think about using it with augmented and virtual reality. And the primary thing that light does is that it tells us what to look at, tells us where to put our attention. And so it's a very powerful tool in that way. And it's both on a technical level and a design level, the way that we can create really strong opening moments, that onboarding that I was talking about, teaching the audience about how they're going to take in the world. Light's going to be the primary tool that we do that in terms of telling them where to look, thus where to put their attention. And beyond orienting them where to look. And by the way, to say why that's incredibly important is because, unlike a 2D medium where your audience is always looking at the box, the frame that's there, where the screen is or where the stage is, they're free to look in 360 degrees because there may be something interesting anywhere around them. And so we have to take into account that they've got that agency to look, to put their attention anywhere around them that might seem interesting. And so light really can help us to point to where things are interesting. And in combination with light is the quality of light. And the quality of light can tell us a whole lot about what kind of environment that we're in. What is the mood or the tone of the piece? What time of day is it where we are? So we start to learn the rules of the world through the quality of light that's being used, the color of light, and then also, of course, how light moves. So the movement of light from one place to the next, again, is fundamental if we want the audience to be looking behind them and then to look in front, to look up, to look down, especially because for most of us, we're used to just looking in one direction to take in content. There's a little bit of unlearning that we often have to do with our audience to tell them, hey, there's more than just what's right in front of you to start with. There's maybe other things that we want you to explore in this immersive story world that we're going to use light to orient you with. I would say, the other two things that I'll point out to my students about how light works with immersive technology is about being able to highlight the spatial relationships between objects in space, especially because our perception of objects in a virtual space may be a bit different than when they're in a physical space. How we're kind of crafting light between objects becomes very important. And because we can't actually touch digital objects unless we've created a physical one that exactly matches it as they did with Cosmos Within Us, we can infer the feeling of something through the way that light interacts with a digital texture or surface, right? So if it looks rough, if it looks smooth, if it looks velvety, we can almost feel like we can touch something because of the way that light interacts with a digital object.